Buddy? Hold this into the backboard. What is it? 15 feet. 15 feet. Strap, put Ollie on your shoulders. Measure this from the rim. Buddy? How far?
10 feet.
10 feet. I think you'll find it's exact same measurements as our gym back in Hickory. Okay, let's get dressed for practice.
Hickory!
It is big.
What is up, Rio Hondo Prep football fans? Welcome to the 2024 California State Championship game, I might say, for your Rio Hondo Prep Cares, a championship weekend for a lot of teams here in the state of California. There was not state championships all too long ago in the state of California, but that changed, I believe, 7 or so years ago, maybe longer than that, where every team who wins either a southern section or a northern section or a San Diego section championship does get to advance to the state regionals, which the Cares won last week down in San Diego and are one win away from raising their first ever state championship banner in their illustrious history. 58 years of prep football, I believe, somewhere around there. Let's round up and call it about 60 years. The Cares have never been this far, especially in a division this high. So there are approximately 1,300 schools in California. There are 30 left this weekend that get to continue playing football, and 15 of them will, in fact, be crowned state champions in the golden state that is California. So a very big population here. That is probably why there is so many state champions. And, it'd be harder to kind of get that number down lower. Would there be less divisions, less teams making playoffs altogether? But for now, this is our system. And it sure beats not having one, years ago when it was just section championships. You had to explain to your buddies in other states, wait, you guys didn't win state? Well, we won a section. We won the biggest section in California. So yeah, just a nice addition to the high school football format out here in the state of California. And again, with the Cares winning 16 Southern Section championships, that is no small feat by any means, but there is one flag, one trophy that they have been desiring for quite some time, and that is an official state championship. So they have an opportunity this Saturday night at Long Beach City College at Veterans Stadium, the great venue there that has been around for quite some time, has seen quite a bit of good football games over the years with Long Beach City College. Long Beach Poly plays there. Sometimes other high schools rent it out as well. So I remember I didn't go to this game. Head coach Mark Carson might have snuck down there when this happened, but it was in the middle of the Concord de La Salle streak. They had a winning streak of like 10, 12 years, whatever it was. And they finally started traveling around to other parts of the country, Southern California and up to Washington. They played their best teams out in Hawaii, and the streak stayed intact. And one of the biggest games ever was Long Beach Poly and down here at the Vet and Concord de La Salle. And Maurice Jones-Drew was on that game for de La Salle. He was a junior, and he had like 4 touchdowns or something. I'm not sure if DJ Williams, the great linebacker, was on that team, but de La Salle had some unbelievable players. And that Long Beach Poly team was just ginormous. They were huge. They had all NFL guys, and de La Salle came down and beat them, undersized. And that was one of my first memories of Long Beach Veterans Stadium. I later got to work on that field as an official with some college ball. So it's a special place. Again, I'm not always thrilled about stadiums that only have one side of seating, but I don't know. This one seems to work well. It's a giant grandstand there, so shouldn't feel too crowded, but should feel also plenty crowded, if you know what I mean. So a very special show today as we preview the state championship game, something we've never had the opportunity to do here on the Charge to Keep podcast because the Cares previously had not gotten this far. And it was last year where they fell to Mission Oak up there in Tulare, California, fell just short. And it was, 11 years prior in 2012 down in San Diego where the Rio Hondo Prep Cares lost by 2 points down to, I believe that was, what was their name? Oh, I forgot their name. It's a tip of my tongue. I should have had it ready to go here, but it'll come to me later on. Anyway, Rio lost that game down in San Diego in a regional. And so last week with the victory at Poway, the first regional victory in Rio Hondo history with the new format and everything. So still relatively new, and it's still incredibly special that Rio was able to do just that, to not just win a CIF Southern Section championship, but then to come back and win a game the next week. And in pretty convincing fashion. That was an intense first half. We talked about that on the post-game show earlier, but a great second half finish for the Cares. And they have a huge opportunity in front of them. They are taking on the Vanden Vikings from Fairfield, California. It's kind of up. It's kind of like in the middle of like Oakland and Sacramento, kind of more inland and just south of like Santa Rosa and I don't know what you look it up on the map. They're coming a great distance for this game, as are most teams from the north. But the Vanden Vikings, no one to look past. That's for sure. They are 12-2. They had a 28-14 victory in their championship game, their regional game, just like we did. So that was rather convincing. And this team, the Vanden Vikings, make no mistake about it, they are rather explosive. Don't let only 28 points fool you there in the regional game. In playoff football, heck, that's a good amount of points. As you saw, Rio Hondo, it took them a while to get that many points on the board. So this Vanden football team, we are going to talk more about later today on the podcast. But I wanted to make mention of one of their great players on the team. They are led. Excuse me if I can find him here. There we go. pulling up everything and trying to get all this done in a timely manner. Sometimes, things aren't always go as planned, which you guys are well aware of in regards to that. So this team is led by their quarterback, senior quarterback, I might add, Kalani McLeod. I think that's how you say it, McLeod. McLeod. I heard that pronounced a few different outlets on Instagram and things. So we will get to him in a minute and this Vanden Vikings team. But Mr. McLeod threw for 462 yards in that regional last week. That is a lot of yards for a single game. He threw in 400 plus in the previous game, so nearly 1,000 yards in two of the biggest playoff games on the season. He's thrown 36 touchdowns on the year and has amassed 4,000 total yards in passing. So this team is pass heavy, pass first, pass often, and we will get to more of that at the end of the show today, when we preview the Vanden Vikings officially to get us ready for the state championship game. But first, we want to have a special guest on the podcast today that I have yet to mention, but he is Mr. Casey Clevenger. And Mr. Clevenger, as we all know him, is a great history teacher there at Rio Hondo Prep. He has some great ties to this team, the current team, and he's just a real football historian. He teaches history there at school, or did at one point, and so a real historian for sure. He played in the first ever CIF championship game in 1972. That unfortunately the Cares fell short to Brethren Christian. They actually scored more touchdowns than the team that beat them, but missed some of their extra points, and extra points kicking in 6-man days were worth 2 points. So we'll talk about the real history. We'll talk about that first championship game. Mr. Clevenger is also the uncle of defensive line coach AJ Corsini. So a little connection there to the team. And as of course, Mr. Clevenger also likes to take care of the long snapper, holder, and kicker on extra points throughout the season for being perfect, not almost perfect or good enough. They have to be perfect for them to be awarded their In-N-Out burger. And we'll talk to him about how all that came about. Lots of things to cover here on the podcast, but I thought we'd go with someone who I've wanted to have on here for quite some time. I've asked him a few times, and the timing was just right for the state championship game. And I thought, well, this is perfect. This is fitting. He could take us back in time to kind of the history of Rio football, hearing about, our legendary coaches, Mr. Dowd, Mr. Lunny, Mr. Johnson, if he was helping at that time, and just kind of take us to where we have come from. And also, just looking at Rio football over the years, because Mr. Clevenger has always been around the program, whether he was in the band playing the drums or, just being a huge football fan that he is. So it's great talking RHP football with him. I haven't been able to do that in quite some time, so I'm very much looking forward to this here on the last pregame show of the season, which is sad to say, but also I know we've taken it as far as we could go. We took it all the way to the state finals, and it's been a privilege and an honor. I can't say that enough. I've been posting on social media all day, all weekend about pictures, just pumping up the game and posting stuff about the other team and kind of what to expect for the game day festivities at 7:00 on Saturday, by the way, if I haven't said that yet. The game will be on the NFHS network as well for those out of state or out of the area, but we really hope to see everybody in attendance at this game. I know you guys have lives and Christmas is coming and vacations and all this craziness, but man, it's one more game. It's one game that Rio has never played in. And I encourage everyone to be there. I encourage you guys to be there, get there early, and let's witness something we've never witnessed before. And that's Rio Hondo Prep playing in a state championship game. As a matter of fact, in any sport. I mean, if you think back to 1991 and that great basketball team we had, they fell a game short in the regional final after two great road wins in the state playoffs. And they fell one game short by, I think, a point, or they lost in overtime. You guys heard about that story, last year as we prepared for the football regional. But the Cares were victorious this year down in Poway with a 28-14 victory. The Vanden Vikings were also victorious 28-14 over their opponent, Pleasant Hill. So here we are, Vanden versus Rio, the Vikings versus the Cares. There's a lot to be grateful for, to be happy for. I'm a huge Christmas guy. I love this time of year, even though I'm behind on a lot of things. But my time has been spent with work and working overtime a lot, and also the Rio Hondo Prep football program. So lots to get to. I have already kept him waiting long enough. Let's bring on our guest for this week, getting us ready for the state championship, and also learning a little bit more about the great history that is Rio Hondo Prep football. It is now my privilege to have on the state championship pregame show. One of my former teachers, someone I love chatting RHP football with, someone who contributes greatly with the sound and all the things down there on game day, putting speakers together, kind of behind the scenes doing things like so many different people on there. Anyway, here on the pregame show, our final pregame show of the season, it is my privilege to bring on the show Mr. Casey Clevenger. All right, our final pregame show of the year. Our final guest on the pregame show is with Mr. Casey Clevenger, one time a teacher of mine in history and still doing it these days at Rio Hondo Prep, but a RHP football historian as well, I must say so. So, Mr. Clevenger, how you doing? It's good to see you.
I'm doing just great, and it's good to see you.
Mr. Clevenger, when I was taking your class back in the day, we talked a lot about great stuff. I love history as well, but man, it was easy to kind of start talking football in that class as well and, get off topic a little bit. I mean, are kids still doing that these days, chatting football during history class?
Well, not as much as I did in your day, I don't think. I do have a freshman class right now. And I think, one or two players who are actually playing on the varsity. One of them is Braden Yokoyama.
Yes.
And my friend John Martin used to coach his father.
Whoa.
So now his son is in my class.
Well, and Mr. Yokoyama is like an athletic director or assistant athletic director. He's high up in the athletic program there at Mount Sac. So I know that there's been talks maybe of us playing there someday. So, man, these connections at Rio never ceases to amaze me. Mr. Mart coached his dad, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Oh, man. Well, Mr. Clevenger, how are you feeling about this era we're in with Rio Hondo football? Not only back-to-back 11-man championships, but this new stage for us, the state championship, Division 3A, playing a team from Northern California. What are your thoughts on what the kids have done this year and kind of where we're at this Saturday?
Well, I think they've done a tremendous job. And of course, we have tremendous coaching. So I think those two things together, and we have consistency of players for the last couple of years. So it's a great team. And this is the first time we've been in a state championship. And reminds me of 1972, when I played, it was the first time we were ever in a CAF final championship.
Yeah, that's another reason I wanted to have you on, is kind of that unprecedented moment in history, really. And my brother got to play in the first 11-man championship. I got to play in the last 8-man championship. But you and your teammates in 1972, take us back to that if you could. Rio Hondo and Rio Hondo football was still relatively new, started in the 60s. So what was the buzz there getting to that championship game in 1972?
Well, we had a tremendous team that year, and better than we'd had in the last few years coming up to that point, because I think the 3 or 4 years before that 1972 team, we didn't enjoy much success. We won 2 or 3 games a year, maybe, or,
wow.
I don't think they were winning seasons. That's what I recall. Anyway, we got to the 1972 year. Steve Martin, Chris Horton, and I were seniors. Red Wandunya was on the team. And then we had some really good juniors, obviously. Steve Tuttle and Steve Hershey, they were all great players as juniors, and even better when they were seniors. And John Martin was on that team. And he played a lot when he was on our team as a junior, but he didn't play as much when he was a senior because the other guys had grown up and become faster and harder hitting, I think. Anyway, so there was, kind of this championship fervor in the air, like we could actually achieve something. Now, our goal was to win Prep League championship. That was as far as anybody had ever gone before us. And so that was our team goal. And we, hadn't really thought much beyond that. And I think I think we may have won 1 or 2 games in previous years in the CIF playoffs, but we'd never gone past that. So I guess in those days, I'm trying to remember, um, there was actually 3 games. So
Hmm.
you had to win. We won. We beat Templeton and then Pasadena Poly, and then we went to play Brethren. And Brethren was in our league too. So anyway, the so we went to camp that year. Like
Hmm.
all the teams in the history, they go to some kind of a camp, and it's all football, football, football all the time. And then there's a spiritual element, of course, and it really brings the team together. So we did that in 1972, as all the teams from that point forward have done. So we look forward to the season, and we got to our first game and lost it. So we were beaten by Pasadena Poly in the first game of the season.
Oh,
So we were humbled right off the bat.
wow.
But after that, we won every game until we played Brethren in the CIF championship. And I was looking back at some of the scores in those games. I should say we played Brethren during the year because they were in our league. And we tied. In those days, you could have a tie. So at the end of regulation, it was 58 to 58.
Oh,
And, we were winning in the fourth quarter, and we just, of course, they were really good. And we let them score at the end to tie the game.
well,
So
6-man football, I mean, it's a different animal. And yeah, but you only had a handful of guys, maybe 2 handfuls of guys to be able to play football. So 6-man, back in those days, I mean, it was very spread out, and that was the big reason for all the scoring, right? You guys, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of running around, chasing people.
that's right. It was a smaller field. So it was only 80 yards long and 40 yards wide. But there was only 12 people on the entire football field, defense and offense. So
Wow.
yes, it was wide open. And we had the advantage of having one of the fastest people in the league in Steve Martin. And he was tremendous. But we also had other good running backs. Jim Struck was a running back.
Mm.
John was a wing back, so he would be the guy where if Steve got in trouble, he could just pass it off to John and he could run 20 yards. He had good speed. And so,
Man.
we
So
we were
so
hard to stop. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna, on that note, kind of what made you guys so successful that year versus I mean, you mentioned some of the players. Did Mr. Dow, did he change anything up? What different approach to you guys maybe in those years to kind of when you guys started to be more successful?
Well, I think, I didn't play as a junior. I played 2 years of JVs, and then I was a senior
Okay.
because I was too small to play as a freshman. And I was really small. I was less than 100 pounds as a freshman, so they wouldn't let me play even JV ball. But so I only played 1 year of varsity, so I have really nothing to compare it to. But I know we really emphasize conditioning,
Mm.
and our mantra was, we may not be as good as the other team, but we can outlast it because we can go a full 4 quarters.
Ooh.
So and running, the field was so wide open, you ran a lot. It was like being a soccer player.
It's just,
So when we went to camp, we did a lot of running. So it
yeah,
was up at 7,000 feet, and we, run 2 miles up at those mountain roads and every morning. And
man.
that was good conditioning. In addition, we were on a trip that year too, and we ran 2 miles every morning on the trip. So, I think like all the RHP teams, they pride themselves on conditioning,
Mm.
and it certainly started with our team. So, but then we played a lot of close games. So, one of the games we played Western Christian, I remember, away, and in the first quarter we were down 21-0. And I heard from people in the stands after the game that people were so angry they were ready to get up and leave. So, but we ended up coming back in the end to win that game.
Wow.
And I don't have it handy. Can I get something?
Sure, absolutely.
I was going to get.
All right, we have gone to the yearbook for some official scores from that year. Mr. Clevenger, take it away.
All right, so the Western game, the score was 56-48. And like I said, we were behind 21-0 in the first quarter. The next game was Whittier Christian, and the score was 44-42.
Oh my.
So, and I remember that game because in our season, Steve Tuttle, who was our middle linebacker, got hurt. And he had, we didn't get hurt, he had appendicitis. So he had his appendix removed. And so he couldn't play for the first half of the season.
Wow.
So I took his place as middle linebacker, which, Steve Tuttle was quite a bit bigger than I was, especially in those days.
Yeah.
I mean, I weighed 125 pounds with my equipment on. So Steve, he was out, and I ended up playing middle linebacker, and I played middle linebacker in that game. And I remember, the first thing I remember is that they had a running back whose name was Novikov, and he was their number one runner. He ran for 200 yards or something that game. He was really fast and tough. And on one series, he was running right towards me, and I was trying to run into the gap to make the tackle, and he jumped over me. So all I could do, I turned around and saw he was rear end going down the field for a touchdown.
Isn't it funny how we remember those plays so vividly? It's like, I don't remember a lot of the good ones, but I remember plays like that for sure. It's like, oh man.
So, but then I also remember at the end of the game, Whittier Christian had the ball, and they were marching down the field to try to score a go-ahead touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Mr. Lenny, our defensive coach, had me blitz on a play, and I decided that I would blitz right straight to Novikov because I figured he was the one that was going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And so I hit Novikov in the torso, and then the ball hit me in the back of the head when the quarterback, tossed it to him. It was a lateral. But I was already on Novikov, and the ball hit me in the back of the head, and it rolled, bounced over to the other side of the scrimmage line where Ken Koopman, who was the cornerback in those days, it was an outside linebacker is what we called him. He fell on it, and we got the ball. And then I think Steve Martin, we ran about 5 plays with Steve Martin running around the field, and I think he scored the winning touchdown for us.
Well, that's who's in your head, Coach Clevenger, Mr. Clevenger.
No, literally. Yeah,
literally. Well done. Well, tell me about the championship game. Where was it? Was that played at Brethren? I know that was a big moment.
It was a neutral site. It was a neutral site, and I don't remember exactly where it was played. There are others, I'm sure, who do. And so they were bigger and faster than us. And I knew 3 of their players. One was Les Piercy, who was the quarterback, and he had a real arm. And then the guy I was covering that night was named, oh man, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. So there was Lester Piercy. Mm-hmm. Or now I can't remember any of the other 2 guys. Maybe it'll come to me later. But anyway, I covered during that evening one of the guys who was an end, so I must have been playing outside linebacker in that game because Steve Tuttle was back, so he was playing middle linebacker. And I covered him, and he was also their kicker. And he was a really good kicker. And he ended up being drafted by a college. I think he went to Nebraska to kick for them.
Wow.
And then he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. And I was listening to a radio broadcast of that game where he was kicking in a preseason game. And he missed 4 field goals, and he was cut.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, way.
That'll happen. Oh
So
man. Well, he was rather significant in that championship game, correct, as a kicker?
yeah, and we scored more touchdowns than they did, but we made fewer kicks on our extra points. And in those days, I think I'm right about that. The kicks were worth more than just running it in because six-man football.
Yeah. So
So
kick was 2 points and the running
mm,
it in was one.
that's right.
Wow. Wow. I'm trying to do the math there on the figuring. You guys must have missed quite a few for the touchdown to extra point ratio to kind of catch
Well,
up there.
the score of that game was 72 to 64, so we were 8 points behind. So that's
Oh
four
man.
kicks.
Oh my goodness. 70. That is a lot of kickoffs in that game.
That
A
was a lot of scoring, right?
lot of scoring. My goodness. Basketball scores.
Yeah, I know it's like what is that? 136 points.
So it was close really all the way up until the end. And most of us has had this feeling of, we don't get to go out on top. Our season, our high school career ends. Yeah, what was that like? I guess take us back to that, 52 years ago, whatever it is that, you know, you gave everything you had and you fell short and it had to be disappointing.
It was terribly disappointing, even though, we didn't have any idea we could have gone that far,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. And we were the first ones to be in a championship game. And but it was a crushing defeat. And,
Mm.
it was a smaller community then. And everybody was, I would say, harshly disappointed.
Yeah. And do you think that the experience of that game, I've talked to some of the guys on the 73 team last year before the season, they seemed rather motivated, not just losing in the championship, but the way in which you guys lost the championship, that they were not going to fall short the next year. You think that had a lot to do with the motivation to get back and win that game the following year?
Yeah, I do. I think it had a lot to do with it. And, you know, they they were a great team, no question about it. They had some guys that came onto the varsity squad who were big and better, and um, had some really good players. And Steve Hershey
Yeah.
was on that team. He was a really good runner, so it was great for them.
Yeah. What did you think of that celebration we had last year at Care Park, the 50-year anniversary of our first championship? I love seeing those guys
Oh, I thought
out
it was
there.
great. Yeah, I
How
thought it
cool
was
was that?
great. And it was just the best thing ever. So, in addition to us winning the championship that year, last year.
And then yeah,
So,
we cap it
yeah.
off with the 50th anniversary by winning a championship game there as well. Before we talk more about this current team and last year, talk to me a little bit about you mentioned great coaching on the Rio staff, and it's always kind of been that way. I always like talking about the earlier days, the Mr. Dowd, Mr. Lunny, and talk to me about the tough disciplinarians that were the Rio coaches back then.
Well, Mr. Dowd was famous for, we ran and ran and ran and ran. So that's what I remember.
Drill
We didn't
sergeant kind of guy.
Yeah, drill sergeant. Mr. Lunny was actually a sergeant in the Army. So he was a screamer. So it's never any doubt what you were supposed to do because you could hear him on the sideline.
That is true. Now, did he always have that quirky sense of humor that we all experienced with him back then, or was he still was he
Yeah,
more of?
no,
Yeah,
no, he was. And he was also our band director. So, I was in the band as well as the football team. And several of us were in the band. I don't know if it was all of them, but lots of people who played football in those days were in the band. So
yeah.
Steve Martin was in the band, Chris Horton, Red Wandunya. We all played in the band. I don't think Ken Koopman did, and I'm not sure if Jim Struck did or not.
So Mr. Lunny would
He,
get you on the football field and in band class, just
well,
wherever.
yeah, and we had band at 7:15 every morning. So
Ooh,
we
that's
showed
early.
up 45 minutes before school started.
Oh,
Yeah, that's early. And then, we would get fined if we were late.
fined! Wow,
Yeah.
like the
So
summer trip.
yeah, it was just like the summer trip. And so Mr. Lenny had a book full of fines, and I owed a considerable amount of money, as I recall. And it turns out though that when he got married, he burned the fine book as a celebration of his marriage. So that was great.
That's fantastic.
It was fantastic.
That's great. Sergeant Lenny, man,
Yeah,
what a guy.
Sergeant Lenny.
Oh, we miss him very much. It's been great
Yeah.
talking about him, the memories. And then yeah, Mr. Dowd, we talked about. Now the years prior to you playing with Rio being still pretty new, you know, one of the traditions is kind of looking at the guys who played before you. Like, I mean, do you remember watching Ken Drain, Armand Mascamp, or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I was in seventh grade when Ken Drain and Armin Mascamp, and they won the Prep League championship that year. And it was, 67, I believe. And they went on and I think they went to one playoff game and got beat by Black Fox.
Mm,
Does that sound familiar?
that does sound right. Yeah, Mr. Drain talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they were a thrill a minute. I mean, it was. I can remember being a kid, and I was on a drum. I played drums for the band, so I was on my snare drum on Friday nights, sitting with the pep band, and then there were the cheerleaders, and it was like the coolest thing you could imagine as a 12-year-old. I mean, I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, and Mr. Clevenger. That's been the cycle, really, right? Like the Carey Youth League kids seeing these guys, maybe some of their coaches playing. Then you get to junior high, maybe you're playing in the band, maybe your water boy is a freshman or an eighth grader or whatever, and then getting to suit up for the first time in varsity. I mean, it's this cycle that has continued for all these decades. These different points in your Rio Hondo football journey, really, that doesn't seem like it's changed much as you describe it back then.
That's correct. And I think it's a great tradition when I support the varsity team and more than just as a teacher, I do these other things for them. And I think the thing you learn in football, you have to deal with the fear and the responsibility of facing your fears and achieving something in a contest that nobody thinks you can win. So it makes a man out of you pretty fast, I think. So
I agree, and I think more than any sport is, there's a physicality to it. It hurts. It hurts when you do good. It hurts when you mess up. I mean, there's a lot of pain involved in being tougher and like you said, becoming a man. That's one of the reasons I love football. I love other sports too, but there's nothing like I do love football. And I know you said that very many times. Oh man, you love football. Did you always love it, or did you learn to love it?
No, I was 5 years old. It was before I joined BCL. My brother had football equipment because he was in BCL, and I used to borrow his football equipment and put it on. I'm 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I used to run up and down the hall in my parents' house in Arcadia, like I was on a football field. So I did that for hours and hours and hours. So I had dreams, and I watched all kinds of football when I was very young. Whatever the games were on, I didn't really know the difference between a professional game or a college game, but I always watched the Rams. I remember that, and
yeah,
it was great, good times.
Good times indeed. Absolutely. I know I liked you, Mr. Clevenger. Yeah, big Rams fan here. But anyway, I want to ask you, because, at one time, one of the many things I used to do on a football field, not all of them good, by the way, I used to be the holder. And I always liked the holding on the extra points and the field goals. Me, Bill Ritter, Devin Drain, Ryan Westervordy occasionally as a long snapper too. But it was me, Devin, and Bill most of the time. We put in a lot of work all 4 years really into that trade. And man, had I know that, with your contributions that you currently do with the varsity teams, we may have practiced even harder. Talk to me about the contributions you make to the field goal unit, extra point unit. And when did you start that whole thing?
Well, I think I started it about 8 years ago. So it occurred to me one day that, we had problems in those days when I started of making consistent PATs, kicking. And it hasn't been till recently that we've been very good. The truth of the matter is. So I decided that I wanted to give something back to the kids who are playing and reward them for accomplishment. And at first I was just buying in and out for the kicking team. So that would be the holder, the hiker, and the kicker. If they made all their PATs in a game, then I would reward them with an in and out during the next school week.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, it was just the kicking team was how it started out. But then other kids want to get in on it, so I reward accomplishment in all kinds of sports, not only just football. And for those who don't play sports, I can make a deal with some of them for academic accomplishments to get in and out.
Okay.
So we've broadened it out to more than just football, but that's where it started with the kicking team. And when it comes to the rewards, the kicking team is always first.
Yes.
So, we get to the next week, I may give like in and outs for the offensive line because they didn't have any penalties and we won the game. It only counts if you win the game. If you don't win the game, there's no reward.
Good lesson there. Good lesson.
But if it's the offensive line and the kicking team is perfect, the kicking team goes first, and then the offensive line, they go in the days to follow.
Well, the kicking unit there, I mean, it takes a lot of extra work, a lot of, monotonous going out there doing it again and again and again. And I'll say with the current kicking squad, and I do believe in jinxes, but I don't. I mean, Marco Chan has been perfect through the entire postseason in 5 straight games here. So those guys have been eating well, I guess, the past month or so.
They have been eating well, and at first, their first few games of the season, we were having kicking problems. I think Marco had the yips, and then they put in
Diego
Householder, and he did well for a game, and then he got the yips, and then they went back to Marco. But since that point, he changed his kicking style, I think, to just a straight toe kick.
Yeah.
So now he just takes one step and toes it across the over the crossbar.
He doesn't kick it far, that's for sure, but he gets it over consistently. That's all you need. And Braden Yokoyama, freshman long snapper, and Tyler Dang with the great holds there, the hard count, drawing teams off. The unsung heroes, really, some of the smaller things on the team there.
We've won some games by 2 points, and
yes,
you can give credit to them for that.
Absolutely. And did the extra point, kicking, did that kind of, were you a little triggered from basically your experience in your football days, your championship with the whole extra point thing?
I would call that scarred for life. Yes.
So you wanted our guys to be perfect, not almost perfect, but perfect.
And that's the deal.
That is the deal. There's no half In-N-Out burgers or half a milkshake.
They miss one, it doesn't matter whose fault it is.
Yep.
It's the hiker, the kicker, or the holder. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
They all lose.
It's a great lesson, and a real privilege to be on that unit. So that is really cool. I talk all the, there's so many great contributors to the football program, and I know, Mr. Clevenger, you love Rio Hondo football. You've seen it. You've played in it. If you could just talk to me about your passion for the Cares, specifically Rio Hondo Prep football, and just the great program that we've had 16 championships now and an opportunity to win a state title Saturday.
Absolutely. And I really support the coaching staff mostly. And I've seen when I first started doing the extra point thing, Mark wasn't the head coach at that point. I think it was Mr. Drain. Mm-hmm. And, we've seen, but all of those coaches, Mr. Drain and Mark Carson and Randy Johnson, who I play golf with during the summer. So, I go out to Santa Anita Golf Course with Randy, and I tell people, I'm playing golf with the offensive coordinator of our football team. So
yeah, absolutely. Now knowing Randy and yourself, I sense some competition there. You two guys are rather competitive guys. What about the golf course?
Well, sometimes I win and sometimes he wins. But in all honesty, neither of us are very good. But when we play with Ken Drain, because sometimes Ken Drain comes with, he wins every single time.
Oh,
So
those
he's
drains. Those drains, man.
those drains are good golfers. So, but it's fun, right? That's the point. And so anyway, I have nothing but tremendous respect for the system of coaching at Care Youth League. I think we put the players first, we put their spiritual lives first, but we teach them great lessons through football, and it's the best way to do it. It's like the G-rated version of Friday Night Lights, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Uh, on that coaching staff currently in the past few years is someone I know close to you. One of your nephews, AJ Corsini, the D-line coach, the hype man. He coaches the JV teams as well as a head coach. He has been a tremendous contributor to the football program right alongside with Coach Carson and kind of bringing that toughness and edge to our guys. What's it like watching AJ out there coach the team over the years?
Well, it's great fun. I'm very proud of AJ, of course, and his father comes to the games, and we watch him together as he coaches. And I go up to Mark's office, and AJ has a desk up in Mark's office, and occasionally don't tell the principal this. We shoot the breeze on football during school hours.
Of course. Come on. Well, that principal happens to be the offensive coordinator's wife. So, it's kind of understandable.
It's probably understandable. So, and all those guys. So, Ed Drain and, JT and, just all the assistant coaches. And of course, we've added a first-class professional defensive backfield coach. It's nothing to sneeze at, I can tell you.
Yeah.
So
Super Bowl winner.
Rocky is impressive. So, so I've said all these years, because our coaches stay year after, they're 20 years coaching, and that's very unusual to see on almost any high school football level where the coaches stay for such a long time and are really committed to the kids. So, I have nothing. They're tremendous men. And so I actually coach a mock trial team. So, and I try to model our coaching after the football team's coaches.
Okay. Now, is the mock trial still the eighth graders or high school now?
It's just the eighth graders. We only did 1 year of high school. It's
Okay.
really the kids in high school are so busy.
Yeah.
It's hard to do a mock trial team. But yeah, the eighth graders, so we have.
I remember that. That was fun. That was fun being in the mock trial.
Fun. That's right.
What do you said you try to model some of the coaching after our guys? What do you do?
Well, I think we're committed to learning about the law, and in my case, so I spend a lot of time watching court videos and mock trial videos and reading about the law and in preparation for the mock trial season. So, it's that kind of dedication. Yeah. And then we're not as successful as the football team is, but we're also playing a lot of schools in an academic program that is very tough.
Yeah.
So we've done very well for ourselves in LA County, where there's about, 1 million students. And the best of the best go into mock trial. So
no doubt. I mean, so you watch a lot of film then, like the coaches do.
Oh yeah.
Film. So, but I always ask, okay, we got kids doing mock trial, but how many of those kids at other schools that are doing mock trial are also playing football, are also playing a band instrument, are also volunteering like Rio kids do. So that's the beauty of Rio, Mr. Clevenger, is that you do so many different things, kind of figure out what you're best at, but you're still doing things and maybe some things that you're not great at, but you learn a lot from it.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I know for a fact that we've had at least 2 ex-mock trial people go into the law. So, that's impressive. And so that's right, because not every kid can play a football or volleyball or are coordinated in sports. So I've had some kids. Now, it is also true that there are some kids that can do everything. So we have some of those too, right? So
yeah, no kidding. Wow, but that is neat. That is neat. Mock trial. Good old mock. And for those that don't know, that's basically, well, I'll let you explain it.
Yeah,
Everyone has a case, right?
everybody's a case, and it's written by the Constitutional Rights Foundation, where I used to be a IT consultant for them in the day, and that's how our school got involved in mock trial because I was working there part time. And so they write the case for the state of California. So every middle school, and it's mostly a high school contest. So there's like hundreds of high schools in the state of California that participate in mock trial. And I used to go up to the state finals in Sacramento and do I was the IT guy, so I brought all the computer equipment to do the scoring and all that stuff. Wrote some of the scoring protocols. Anyway, so in middle school, it's separated by county. So each county in the state has a contest. So there's a high school division and a middle school division. In high school, if you win the county contest, then you go up to the state contest. If you win the state contest, then you go to the national contest. And I think there's been one or two schools in California that have gone to that national contest since I've been working in mock trial. So it's it's really difficult, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
And so the so in the middle school, it's less schools, but it's still like the top middle schools in LA County compete. And then if you and we've gotten as far as the quarterfinals in a couple of years, and we've always lost in the quarterfinals, but not this year, but last year we were really, really good. And I thought we had won that trial, but we didn't win it, and it was by very little.
How is it determined who wins the trial? Is it like a panel or something?
Yeah, the panel are attorneys, so they get volunteer attorneys and who are working for the law firms in town, and they go to the LA County courthouse in downtown Los Angeles, and we use real courtrooms.
Yeah.
And you compete against all of the 45 other middle schools in LA County that are in this program, and to see how you do. And when you get to the playoffs, though, it's only like 8 teams, right? So we've been in the quarters for a couple of times, and it's like we get the big courtrooms, and we get a real judge, a guy, and it's really something. So
wow.
We've had a couple students who have won county-wide awards. So like best artist, or we had a best witness one year. So that happened. That was Candace Amundsen. If you know the Amundsens, yeah.
Yeah. I got to tell you, this is just an example again of the many things Rio Hondo students do and experience. There's nothing like Rio Hondo Prep. Other schools have these activities, but how many activities and experiences Rio gets into a small amount of time or with a small group of kids is really unbelievable. And I don't know how many times, Mr. Clevenger, as I've gone to my adult years, and people will bring up something like mock trial or just sports or what. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did. Oh, we toured the White House. Oh yeah, we did this or that. And it's just like no other school has that, man. No, and put the football aside, Rio Hondo Prep, you're a teacher there, and there's just you get a lot of things. You get to experience a lot of things at Rio Hondo.
That's right. So it's that's what we do, and regardless, everybody's doing something. So nobody gets to go home after school. They're staying. They're doing drama, or they're doing sports, or they're doing band, or
no doubt. Well, and we're recording this. We're recording this the night before the Christmas Music Festival.
That's right.
Wednesday night. So all the football guys who used to practice at football Wednesday night, they got to practice in the afternoon now, and then they're all involved in the Christmas program. So I don't know. I don't know if the Vanden Vikings football team is doing that this week, but our guys are.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
What you talked about mock trial? What else do you teach? You still teaching history classes at?
Yeah, I teach world history. I'm the history department chair by default. But I teach world history for ninth grade in the first semester, and then 10th grade for the second semester world history. My main job, though, is I'm the director of IT at Care Youth League.
Okay.
So I maintain all the computer and computer systems and solve problems in that department.
There's probably a few of those every now and then.
Yes,
Right?
we've gone through stretches where it's been really tough, but
Oh man, I don't envy you at all. Do
so
you still do 5 points in the history classroom? That's 5 points. That's 5 points.
I absolutely do. So
Yes.
yes, um, we have our point taker in world history, and I give points out all the time for people who answer questions. So
Wow. Now, is there any doctoring of the books though? You know what I mean? Like, is there easy to subtract and add points there if no one's looking?
well, I have trustworthy point takers.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah,
You always choose wisely. I do remember that.
I I I made a few mistakes over the years, and then kind of went to the kid who's the best one in the class,
You
regardless.
know, there you go. That's wise. You know what? I've been out of high school. Let's see, 21, yeah, 22 year, whatever it's been, 03. And I still remember the point system in your history class as being one of the most fun things in at Rio in all the classes I was in. 5 points, Matt Herselman. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, feels good when you earn it, right?
You earn it, yeah. And in the middle
Yeah,
of the class, that
yeah.
was the best. Do you still have the let's see? Well, we used to watch the News Hour with Jim Lear. Were we taking
Yeah,
world history?
they're taking world history, and to be honest with you, I can't really have them watch any network news anymore.
I I hear you there.
So we've kind of had to modify it, and I have gone to something else this year, which I just started, which I only did it one time so far, but it's a thing called, well, I'm trying to remember the name. It's something post, global post. So they send
Okay.
you an email with current world events in that they put in there for you in an email, a daily email. And they, to be honest with you, it's more liberal than I would want, but at least in that publication, they have both sides
Yeah.
in the article, which is what they used to have when you were doing it. And Jim Lear was really top notch. I don't even know what his political party was.
No, I don't
But
either.
and he was an ex-marine, and you couldn't tell what if he had biases or not. You just couldn't tell from watching the news program. So that's the way it used to be. Not with everybody. I think I told you in those days we used to give an extra point if you watched McNeil Lear. And then, but if you watched, the network, ABC, CBS, or
Whatever,
ABC,
yeah.
you got one less point.
I
That was
remember I
my,
had to find PBS or whatever channel it was on.
yeah, it was 28. Yeah, no.
Hey, you know what? You're doing good stuff there with yeah. I've often thought of you with yeah, the way the current world is and things like there's no way he still has the guys watching news, does he? But
No.
yeah, thanks for clarifying that. It's
So
good
anyway,
stuff.
I use this thing, and I'm going to use it more next semester, I think, because it's better than what you can get. I mean, I don't know even what to do about podcasts or anything. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's
Hey,
it's it's the best solution.
let me tell you, everyone has one now. I mean, I started this trying to use, technology for good, and I had no idea 4 years ago I'd be doing this, and of all
Yeah.
things. So it's the way the world goes. Sometimes you find yourself upon something and call it whatever you want, calling providence or whatever. So, Mr. Clevenger, let's talk about this current team. You have a lot of them, in your classes and things.
Well, I
Um,
don't have a lot of them in my classes, but I do have two freshmen
well,
in.
you have had these students, most of them,
But
right,
I've
in
had
your class.
all of them. Yeah, they've all been in
Yeah,
my world history class.
yeah, that's what I meant, I guess. And just
So yeah,
watching them over the years, the past 2 years just have been magical runs for Rio Hondo football.
that's absolutely correct. And I think I think a lot of credit goes to like the offensive line and the
Mm.
discipline there, and a lot of credit goes to the defensive coaches, and our defensive backfield has really improved since Rocky's come on. I can tell you, whenever I used to see a passing team, and I'd go, man, we're in trouble. But not now. I say, bring it on.
Yeah.
So, um, so they're terrific. So I had Nate in class, of course. I've had Noah in class. I've had Caden in class, and well, I've had all of them.
Yeah.
And so, when they do something well on the ball field, I'm very proud of them, actually. So that's exactly right.
Of
So
course. And they all seem, I don't know this, but we can ask one of their teachers here directly. They all seem like pretty respectful. They're all high school guys, so there's some goofing around. We were all there, but they seem like they take their studies and academics rather seriously too.
I think a lot of them do, right? And I see them in class, or I walk in on classes, and they're respectful, and they're, seem to be on task. They're not perfect, of course, but they're good kids, and
Yeah.
they are. I think one of the reasons our teams do well consistently is the discipline our particular brand of football requires, and our kids do it. They don't minimal. In fact, I've never heard them complain about football discipline. So they are. You can. Our coaches put a lot of responsibility on these kids, and they perform in a very disciplined fashion on the football field. They keep good check on their emotions, I think, in general. So, and not too many penalties.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's one of the things I think that makes a good team too, like you're saying, is that everything matters. Everything tied in. If you're going to be late to class, all right, you're going to be late to your team practice. If you're going to, not pay attention in class, well, you may not pay attention. Now, football, it was more fun for like me than focusing on something in a classroom, but still, you have to train yourself that it all is connected in some way. You can't just take plays off, pardon the pun.
that's right. And also, I've always used the football and the sports in general. If I have a discipline problem in a classroom, the first person I talk to is the coach,
Mm.
and 98% of the time that fixes it. All
Yep.
all Mark Carson has to do is walk in the classroom, and that's it.
Yep.
So they've always supported me in the classroom, the coaching staff has, and I feel like it's important that I support them.
No doubt about it. And the past 2 years, Rio has raised the 15th and 16th banners in their illustrious history. You were there near the beginning, the first championship game in school history that unfortunately we lost, and then the past 2 years, Mr. Clevenger beating Santa Monica, throttling Warren High School, a couple weeks ago. Could you have ever imagined that Rio Hondo would get to this level as someone who saw it, 50 plus years ago?
No, I would never have imagined it. But like I said, the coaching staff is really excellent, and they use discipline, and they teach the spiritual lessons of life to these boys. And I don't think you can have a better combination than that. And so, I'm proud of everybody who's associated with the football program, and I'm delighted to have watched these last couple of years, and I enjoy talking to the coaches. So, Mr. Johnson, if they can't stop us, we're not changing. We're not going to throw a pass until they make us.
Yep.
I ask him every week, how's it going? What does it look like this week? Do we have a chance? And he goes, yeah, I think so. But everybody, he says every time I look at the film, it looks like these guys can beat us. So he takes every game seriously.
Yeah. No, man, I do not envy play callers. Everyone's a critic about it, but man, it's so much harder than you think. And he does a phenomenal job. And I see the same thing. I look at film and I'm like, man, how are we going to move the ball on these guys? And we find a way. And what I love, Mr. Clevenger, is that our offense is so unique. It's really a tribute to kind of some 8-man and even some 6-man stuff, kind of some things that haven't changed much in 50 plus years of Rio football.
That's right. And I'm amazed how our offensive line can create a sliver of an opening, and those running backs squeak through those things. So, Nate and Noah and Caden and Nathaniel Shine, they're
Man.
amazing running backs, but those linemen are creating those creases, and those players find it.
Yeah,
And it's fun to watch.
they not only, finds a hole with, 9 or 10 guys up in the box, but then they're chasing safeties. They're chasing guys, downfield just in case we break one to make
Yeah,
sure we go all the way. So our linemen are athletic, and it's just been such a blessing to me to watch these guys the past few years. And we got another huge one on Saturday. I'll tell you this, Mr. Clevenger, we talked about the passing game. Vanden, their quarterback, he's thrown for over 4,000 yards. He threw for like 462 last week. So the ball will be in the air quite a bit this Saturday. And I guess in Rocky Seto we trust, huh?
yeah, we trust Rocky and our defensive backfield. So Josh Curtis has really come on. I mean, Nate's good, and our safety, who's man, I can't think of his name.
Elias R.
Elias, yeah, Elias Har. Those guys are fast and they've got long arms, and they learned how to cover with people. So I don't think I've seen any instance of where a player's gotten behind our players that we haven't been able to like at least tap the ball and keep it away from them.
That we've been good at. We've been there, making sure that that we're not letting them take the edge of the top off our defense. And Tyler Dan, Calogero Chico, some other guys in there that
That's
do a
right.
heck of a job in the secondary. And you know what? All you can ask sometimes is that you're in position. And if they
Yeah,
make a great play, like Santa Monica last year at the very end, I mean, there's no as long as you're there to make a play, and they make a better one. Hey, so be it.
so be it. I want to remind you of one of the best games I ever saw, which was not this year, but last year's first playoff game. Do you remember that game?
Yes, St. Margaret's.
St. Margaret's. I was talking to Mark about that a couple days ago, and as I recall the game, they had the ball for like 14 seconds and wouldn't score. They had a real good passer and a lot of real good ends.
Yep.
So we couldn't stop them. But what we did is we slowed our offense down and held the ball for like 8 minutes in the fourth quarter to win that game, as I recall.
Yep. We time of possession was like, I don't know, 40 to 8, I think, or it was something crazy like that we just said, all right, 3 yards here, 4 yards here. And yeah, they would score in 3 plays and we would score in,
30 plays.
yeah.
Right.
The great strategies, the game within the game is why we love this game so much.
That's right. That's why I say we got great coaching. So, and that reminded me of, was it last week's game where we had we took up the whole third quarter?
That was the championship against Warren.
Oh, championship against Warren, yeah.
8.5 minute drive to start the second half. Onside kick, get it, keep it the rest of the quarter, and then score in the first play of the fourth quarter. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing that in any football game I've ever seen.
Ever.
So,
And any level. You're absolutely right. We're scratching our heads thinking the same thing. So, it's going to be fun, Mr. Clevenger. Saturday, Long Beach City College, the first state championship in Rio Hondo history. I know I'm excited. You sure got to be too.
I am really excited, and I'm proud of the guys, and I hope we do well, which I think we will.
Yes, they're going to bring their A game and the cares, however they compete out there. We'll be proud of them. And it's just fun having a conversation with you. Kind of, we know where the current team is at, but you can't really know where you're at or where you're going until you know where you kind of came from. And you helped us, you painted a picture for us there at the some of the early days of Rio Hondo football and why you love it so much. So thank you, Mr. Clevenger, for your time and for, being somewhat nice to that kid back in high school in 2001, 2002 or so in the history class, because he didn't always pay attention as much as he should have. You know what I mean?
Well, I do. But they end up growing up, don't they?
I sure do. I thank you for that and all your great work at the school, the mock trial. Doing a great job. So thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you at the game Saturday. Should be a lot of fun.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you.
Well, I can't thank Mr. Casey Clevenger enough for coming on the show and chatting about Rio football, past, present, and maybe a little bit about the future as well. So it's just really fun to kind of go back in time and look back at kind of where the program started and obviously to where we're at today. the big moment of the first state championship in school history. And, there's just so many people that I know a lot of our players don't know about, have never met, that come to these games as alumni and watch these kids. And, one day you'll be doing the same thing. You'll be those guys that the current players look at and we're like, who is this? Who is that? And I know you got your names on the banner like so many people have before us. So you'll see. You guys are the stars right now in the spotlight, and we wouldn't have it any other way. But just know, fellas, one day you will be one of us. You will be us alumni who will be rooting for kids that you've never met. And it's a two-way street, right? So thank you, Mr. Clevenger, and all the alumni who've come on all season talking with me about the good old days, and also just kind of coming back and watching Rio football a little bit more and learning. Talking. It's good to talk about the history of the things we've done and played. And it's just, I don't know. I enjoy talking to the alumni because even if, like you got someone on who is years apart from you, you start chatting and it's like the same experiences. It's cool to see also that not a whole lot of things have changed over the years. Some things obviously for the better, but a lot of traditions and things we've kind of kept intact, which is really, really great. So thank you, Casey Clevenger, for getting us ready for the state championship this Saturday night against the Vanden Vikings. And now let's look briefly at the Vanden Vikings. They're looking at their schedule. Now, mind you, most of these schools you will have never heard of because they're all up north in Northern California. And that reminds me, let's see if it says here on Max Preps. I don't believe it says so. Which section it was, in fact, that the Vanden Vikings were in. They're Division 3A, obviously, like we are here in the state. But up north, there's a central section right above us. And then up north, there's there's 10 sections total, I believe, in the whole state of California. And up there's a north section, there's a north coast section, there's all kinds of sections, other southern section, central section. So I'm not exactly sure which section they were in. They weren't too far away from, say, King's Academy, to my knowledge, and I believe that was the north coast section, even though they are a little bit inland. So forgive me for not looking that up. We'll see if I can figure that out. But a lot of these schools up north, we will have not heard of, or maybe, for instance, here's one that is Vista del Lago, but it's the Folsom Vista del Lago up there near Folsom Prison. So not the Vista del Lago down here of Riverside. So I'll read off some of the scores that we have here for them on Max Preps, but just keep in mind, you probably won't know who these schools are. So I'll go through them briefly, but this football team is 12-2. Obviously had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in the section. I'll say section, or says three wins in their section playoffs. Because again, like the Poway, the San Diego team, there was only three rounds in their bracket. So their final regular season game was on October 1st. They didn't play a playoff game until November 1st, till November 15th. So they had the week off, and then got, where most of us played in the first round with the 4 rounds of playoffs. So they just, to get in sync with everybody, that's what they did. So their first round game was November 15th. Their semifinal game was November 22nd, and their championship game against Oakdale was on November 30th, similar to us, I believe. And they won that game 49-35 over Oakdale. And then last week in the state regional, they defeated Pleasant Valley by a score of 28-14. So that's just a couple of the games the past few weeks. But I want to look at and focus here on their score totals. So we'll just start at the beginning, and I'll read you the names. Again, you won't know who this is, but let's just go over their 14 scores for the season. They started on August 23rd against Consumnes Oaks, 35-19. They were victorious there. They then followed up a 35-point performance with a 23-7 victory over Campolito in the second week of the season. They beat Vista del Lago, a team from up, again, Folsom area, 45-14. So an explosive offense there for the Vikings from Vanden there. But it was an even bigger score the following week against Freedom High School, 55-7. And I'm looking at their scores. Yeah, that was the most points they scored in a game all season. But the following week, September 20th, they lost to Rodriguez, 45-21. So let's see real quick. That looks to be the most amount of points. Yes, the most amount of points they gave up on the season. So 45-21, Rodriguez. What's interesting about the 2 losses on the season for Vanden is they came in back-to-back weeks. So losing to Rodriguez 45-21, and then Vacaville, which I know most of you have heard of, 31-13. So giving up quite a few points and only scoring a couple times themselves in back-to-back weeks. And then they went on another winning streak to finish the season. Let's see. So they started with four straight wins to open the year, 2 losses, so that's 6, and then they have currently been on a 6-game let's see, 4, so they've been on a 8-game winning streak, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, an 8-game winning streak, if my math was correct there. But after their losses to Rodriguez and Vacaville, they then started their winning streak with a 21-14 win over Sacramento. They beat River City 40-21. This one's interesting. This would be a fun game to go look at. Wood High School on the road, looks like a league game. Not sure where that is, but they defeated Wood 36-30 in overtime. So a walk-off touchdown there in overtime for the Vikings. That would be a fun game to go back and look at. To start the month of November, they defeated Pioneer, again from up north, 41-0. They defeated Vista Del Lago again for a second time, this time in the playoffs, 28-7. West Park, they defeated 14-7 in the semifinals. And then I mentioned Oakdale in the championship game, 49-35, and Pleasant Valley last week, 28-14. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, this team is led by their passing game. And that is, it is all Kalani McLeod for the Vikings. And McLeod is just a phenomenal player. Not only does he have a strong arm and can really sling it all over the field, but he's very mobile. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a designed run kind of guy like we have seen a little bit here in the playoffs, but he is a guy that will buy time, get out of the pocket, step in through the pocket, and hit guys, on kind of broken plays. So he plays within structure. He plays kind of outside the structure as well of the play call. So the Cares defense is going to have to do a way better job than they've kind of been doing. Maybe on the outside, containing the interior defensive line, not getting too deep, running past the quarterback, because they will mix in some runs as well, kind of, out of the shotgun, kind of standard standing run plays like that. But the Cares defensive line and maybe their linebackers in the blitzing game, they're going to have to rush the quarterback smart. And it sounds easy, right? Yeah, you're going to get in there and find the quarterback, but it's chaos once you break in through the line of scrimmage and you're trying to get through the bodies and then you're trying to keep a guy in the pocket, right? Not let him run around you. We cannot have that this week because McLeod will just run all over the field. And then what he will do is he'll break contain or get outside and he'll hit someone deep down the field who, our cover guys are going to do the very best they can, but they can only do so much, guarding a receiver or guarding a zone or whatever they're doing, man zone. I don't know what they're going to be doing. So you got to focus on smart football with McLeod, clear rushing lanes, not getting sucked in. If you're an outside contain guy, the Rio defense has to really play good team football up front with its line and linebackers. And the secondary is going to be really up to a challenge. As I mentioned, some of those guys, Josh Curtis, Tyler Dang, Calogero, Chico, and, Elias Har, some of our best guys in the secondary there. You're going to have to play really good disciplined football, not get beat deep, and not get sucked up, when McLeod maybe starts to scramble, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to break free of our front 4, front 7, whatever's coming, and let his receivers get kind of the fire break routes, right? You run your regular route, and then if the ball's not out, in the first few seconds, well, you're either breaking deep or you're coming back to the ball or whatever. So our defensive backs are really going to be up against it this week. I would argue from the tape I've seen, the best quarterback we've seen hands down this season. Last week's quarterback for Poway was decent. It was pretty good. I thought the West Torrance quarterback that we saw in the semifinals, pretty complete passer there. And we kind of were able to limit him. And one area that has helped us, especially the quarterback, in Warren, who we saw there as well, is we have really shut down the running game. And when we shut down the running game, you make a team one-dimensional. Well, this team, make no mistake about it, they want to put the ball in the air, much like Warren did and maybe some other teams. But these guys are serious about it. Like I said, they've thrown for over 4,000 yards. Kalani McLeod, he wears number 12 for the Vikings. And I believe since their Northern California teams are wearing white on Saturday, and the Southern California teams are wearing their home jerseys. So the Cares should be in black, and I believe it's been encouraged that fans wear black on Saturday to support the Rio Hondo Prep football team. In looking at, let's see if I can share this with you guys just so you can see it. And looking at some of Mr. McLeod's stats here, might as well share the screen. Sharing is caring, and we are the Cares. So here we go. All right, here is Mr. McLeod's passing stats over the past 2 years. He played 14 games this year, 12 games last season, so keep that in mind. But over 4,000 yards this season, 250 completions out of roughly 350, nearly 350 passes. So he's completed 250 out of about 100, out of about 350. So you do the math there, not missing too many. He has a 72% completion percentage, I'll say. Average is about 16 yards a pass all this season, of course. But 292 yards per game. That is pretty high numbers for a high school football player. That's his average, right? So keep that in mind. 36 touchdowns on the season, and I always looked immediately to interceptions to see if what the ratio was there. 7 interceptions in 14 games, so roughly 1 interception every 2 games. That's not bad for a quarterback who puts the ball in the air as much as he does. I did see there was a game, there was a stat or a game on the schedule where he did have 3 interceptions in one game. And so the Cares may need a performance like that, maybe a sack fumble, something to change the game, change the flow of the game, flip the field. They're going to have to get some turnovers somehow, some way. And this season, it appears Mr. McLeod does not turn the ball over nearly as much as we'll say he did last season, where he had 15 interceptions in 12 games. So he cut the interceptions in half, actually less than 50% of what he did last season. So 15 interceptions last year, maybe a year of maturity, just another year under his belt. Definitely made some better decisions. At least that's what the stats are telling us here. He still had 30 touchdowns last year. So again, you're throwing 2.5 touchdowns at least a game. And I look at some of the individual stats from the different games that he has had over the past few weeks, and a lot of times he's throwing for 4 touchdowns. He's throwing for 3 and 4 touchdowns, and they're dominating the game or pulling away. So let's see here, just some game by game stats, if you will. I mentioned 462 passing yards last week in the regional final. Yes, there it is right there. And in the section championship 2 weeks ago, he threw for even more than that, 484 yards. Let's see, 22 of 27. Last week he was 28 out of 32. So this guy does not miss much. He puts the ball on target. They also, let's see, he was 8 of 17 against West Park in the semifinal. I'm wondering if maybe there was some weather there that's kind of an anomaly, or maybe they did something different. Who knows in that game? But I believe in that game was somewhat of a blowout too. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, it looks like, in that game. But man, this jumps off the table. 4 touchdown passes last week, and the previous week, again, the section championship game, 6 touchdown passes for the Vikings and Mr. McLeod. So if you look through the year, looking at his game by game operation here, if you look at his touchdown passes that I'll highlight here on this column, 3 touchdowns in the opener, 1 in the second game, 3, 1, 2, 1. So he has thrown a touchdown pass at least in every single game this season. He's had a 6 touchdown game, a 5 touchdown game, a few, probably four threes in there, and then a 4 and a handful of, a few 1s and 2s in there too. So this, again, I can't say it enough. The offense is all McLeod. Is this some, let's see if we got some video here. Looks like we do. Man, powerful arm. I don't know if you're able to see this on, I'll start this at the beginning. Vanden versus Wood. So this is a 57-yard touchdown run. Who is this for? Is this Mr. McLeod or one of their runners? Look at some film here. These are just highlights. I don't know how good they're coming out. Oh, look like we got a little hiccup there. Try to rewind. Okay, it's probably just bad film there. So this is one of their running backs. Got some definite speed there, pulling away from everybody. So they can run the ball, but I think obviously the passing game is their specialty. And you never know what you can gather from just a couple of clips or so, but we will definitely try to do that. 29-yard run. So again, that looks like a fake punt here. Yep, fake punt. Nothing too tricky about that. Just right around the edge. Looks like a lot of good team speed here all around for the Vanden Vikings. Here's a pass from Mr. McLeod. Okay, in the backfield. Those are the types of plays right there. The Rio Hondo, a missed tackle or two, that just can't happen. And the Cares have tackled relatively well in the playoffs, and they just got to continue to do a good job of that. Here's that 54-yard pass we talked about. Two guys on a receiver, but he runs by both of them, and McLeod just puts it on him. So I'm sure you can look at more film here on Huddle and perhaps some YouTube clips, but McLeod just looks very comfortable, shifty in the pocket. He really throws the ball powerful arm. Like it's on a line really. There's not much loft to it, I gotta say. Even on the deep balls, yeah, it's really going. Wow. McLeod definitely is accurate and has a powerful arm. So the Cares are going to have to hit him. And here he is scrambling. Smart. He's able to get down. This is a guy you have to contain. You're going to have to hit him a few times. I'm not saying you want to rough the guy, you want to commit any penalties, but you got to make him uncomfortable. And every time you get the chance to tackle him when he is running the ball, you have to be able to put him on the ground. No wasted opportunities. If he runs the ball, you cannot let him get out of bounds. You got to tackle him. You got to make him feel you all night. Again, all legally, of course, but these are just the things that I know Coach Carson will be emphasizing, AJ Corsini, the whole defensive staff, and defensively, in the secondary, guys gotta stay strong. They got to get their head around. They got to work together there in the secondary. It's going to take a team effort here against McLeod. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the opportunity for the Cares and Rio Hondo this Saturday night at Long Beach Veterans Stadium. As I mentioned, it is one side of bleachers there at Long Beach. I posted some content earlier in the evening before I started recording this. Some content that I got as far as the podcast or the game is concerned. I'll again share the screen again for you guys so that you can see what I am talking about. I have it on the Facebook page. I posted this off the bat. This is California Bowl. What is that? Oh, I said 7. Yeah, I was like 7. It's been a lot more than that. 18. They've been doing this for 18 years now. Time flies. But the CIFstate.org has posted the official program for Rio Hondo and all the schools. You can go in here, and as you can see on screen, they kind of do this rather than pass out the programs, and all they do really is they give you the game schedule, who the teams are playing, what teams are playing. There's your table of contents and some advertisements. Of course, you got to have that stuff, but we will go into the teams. They list every team, the division they're in, their record, their head coach, their principal, and all that good stuff. So we should have 3A. There's the North. From the North, Vanden High School, they're the Vikings, 12-2. Yellow and green is their primary color there. You get your rosters with your numbers and the height and weight of the players. And then here from the South is Rio Hondo Prep, Division 3A in the South, 13-1 record. Dr. Marsha Johnson, the principal. Head coach Mark Carson is the athletic director. And, our roster doesn't look too bad there when we spread everybody out. I remember when that picture was taken in the summer, or maybe that was during the Meet the Team event at some point. I think. I'm not sure, not positive, but yeah, I know that's always kind of the joke is, hey, when you're taking that team photo, it's for the state program someday. So here's our roster, our body measurements and all this and that. So you can find all this stuff in the website, again, the CIFstate.org. And the direct link is there if you want to get a program and look at our guys working. I posted this as well, the championship against Vanden at Long Beach City College. A couple different nice designs there by, I believe, Colleen Drain or Mark Cart, who put these together. Looks pretty good. This was a game day guide for the fans, and again, you guys can read all this on your own. But the address of the venue, Long Beach City College. Game times at 7. The gates open at 9:30. There's no re-entry once a spectator has exited the stadium. So you can come for all 3 games on Friday, by the way, or 2 games Friday 3 on Saturday. It's $10 a vehicle to park. I'm not sure if it's cash only or not. But parking, one time, and general admission, which you need to get, again, go to the GoFan app like you guys have been doing, but general admission is $15, and there's some other discounts there. Tickets are good for all day Saturday. So if you are a diehard and you want to get there early and experience the stadium and soak it all in, by all means, get there early on Saturday. There's 2 other games before us, an 11 o'clock and a 3 o'clock, I believe. So you can watch those games, and then as soon as those fans spill out, you can get better seats or whatever you want to do. But your ticket is good for all 3 games there. You can't leave, I guess. So make sure you're in and out. You're going in and out of the stadium. You're cautious about all of that, and just make sure. Yeah, once you're in, you stay in for the most part. The football team will be in black uniforms, so we encourage you to wear black. And then finally, sorry guys, this is someone's got to ruin all the fun. I was actually surprised the cowbells got permitted as long as they did, but I didn't want to say anything. Noisemakers of any kind, cowbell, spinning ratchet, I don't know what that is, but they are prohibited. So sorry guys, can't have those in playoffs, and specifically the state playoffs. So I know the care bells are off limits. Sorry guys, it is what it is. So that's kind of what to expect. A little bit of the Vanden Vikings, good team that's won 12 games. They're coming down. They mean business, and one of the best quarterbacks we've not just seen this year, but in previous years. Kind of reminds me of Boone Lord from Brentwood, which we saw 2 years ago, 2 and 3 years ago, I should say. So that's kind of a little comparison. I don't know if it's spot on, but it's the best one I can come up with as far as guys that we have played. So can't wait for the game, man. It's only Tuesday night as I record this, and as the photos and the CIF stuff started to get released, it was kind of like, all right, it gets more real with each day. There was such buildup the past few weeks, really, with every playoff game all throughout the week and putting out the podcast, and I can't tell you how much fun it all is. And although I'm definitely going to be enjoying the break, not having to do this weekly, or getting to do this, I should say, I will miss it. I will miss what this does for me and how fulfilling it is. And just being here with you guys. I feel I'm in the room here by myself all the time doing this, but I don't know. I feel your presence out there. I feel the kind words. I feel just the Rio Hondo magic. And I think the Cares are ready for one more big moment this season. And I will say this to people who maybe, I know most of you are diehards and you're going to be there. It's in Long Beach. It's not too far from, campus and all that. But to the people, maybe you're on the fence, or maybe you're out of state, and it's a short flight at Long Beach Airport, not too far, by the way. You don't want to spend all that money, or you don't want to. I will just say this: in 58 years of Rio Hondo football, this has never happened. So I know I've said that a lot throughout the past few years about we've never played in Division 10. We never played in Division 7. We never won a game here. We're the champ. It's me encouraging you guys to come out, and I know that most of you who have come out and seen games, you either started to go to all these games, or you've come to a game, you're out of state, or you traveled a great distance. I know that each and every one of you have enjoyed coming back to a football game, coming out to a game. You haven't regretted it one bit. And I can promise you this, you won't regret coming to see Rio Hondo in the state championship, especially at a level like this, Division 3A. I mean, to see our boys take the field amongst the other great teams in the state of California, that's pretty special, man. That's pretty special. As I said before, only 30 teams are playing football in California this week. And I know in other states, maybe they're less population, they're spread out more. Maybe their playoff system is a little better. And we crowned 15 state champions here, but it's a big state, and not just big, but crowded and heavy in population too. So anyway, my encouragement to you guys is get out to this game. I know it's a busy week. Christmas festival on Wednesday. We got, I think, breakfast with Santa on Saturday there at Care Youth League, which is always a wonderful event. I think $10 to come meet Santa and have breakfast. Man, I don't know. That's a pretty sweet deal in my opinion. So breakfast with Santa, and then head over to Long Beach for some football viewing and the Cares in the state championship. Can't think of a better Saturday, really. So I'm not sure what we're doing yet, if we're working as a broadcast team, working maybe some games Friday and Saturday morning, but we'll see. That's still in the works. But I know with so many people contributing to this program, man, we're all in this, man. We are all in this. We're cheering on the boys. They're the ones doing the hard work. The coaches, the preparing. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just honored to be a part of it. I know maybe there's some restrictions with CIF as to who can be on the field and all this and that. So I know that'll frustrate some people. But just know that the bigger deal here is that our boys go out there and compete. We cheer them on, and hopefully they end up on the right side of a state championship game come Saturday night. But however it ends up, we'll be singing that alma mater with pride. And win or lose, we'll be sad that there is no more football this season. So to the boys out there, enjoy every second of this. The bus trip, don't think too much about it. Just do what you do. You guys be you. Again, you let us worry and stress out. You guys just be you. Stay focused. Play assignment football. Play hard. Play passionate. Play Rio Hondo football. Play like cares. You guys know what that means. I don't need to tell you that. A little rough start last week, right? Maybe with the bus trip. I don't know. But the boys responded. And so even if you get down like you did last week, just stay the course. Work hard. We're behind you, man. You're going to have so many Rio Hondo people behind you, not just in that stadium Saturday, but also watching online from around the world. I don't know how many other schools have viewers that are all over the world, all over the country. I know there'll be an Oregon watch party for sure. I know we got guys in all kinds of the East Coast and other countries, as I mentioned. So not much has changed, man. It's just a state championship. You guys dominated your section championship. You battled hard through your regional championship. Well, one more thing to check off. California state champs. How does that sound? We'll see if we can earn that title on Saturday night. And finally, to the parents, especially the parents of the seniors, thank you all for all that you do. Not just the support of the team, but the meals, the rides, the filling of the stadium, the bringing of other family members out to these games, and so many of you with the kind words to me. Like I've told you before, I just kind of put the quarter in the jukebox, really, and the music plays. So yes, there's work that goes into this, and I appreciate all of you. But just know it's very fulfilling for me, and an opportunity for me to give back to a program, a school, a group of people that I care deeply about and have had a tremendous impact on my life. So here we go, guys. We started in June. Maybe the boys started spring football, things like that, but these podcasts started in June. We've gone weekly up until the season. We've gone pregame, postgame since then. And I don't want it to end, but it will Saturday night, and we'll have our final show likely on Sunday. And then the countdown begins for next year. So it has been 3 amazing years doing this podcast, and we'll say our goodbyes proper and all that likely on Sunday. But let's stay focused. Let's stay locked in. Bring the energy, Rio fans. I cannot tell you that enough. No Leaf Clover. I started the song here for the intro, along with the Hoosiers quote of when he takes those guys into the gym, or the gym. It's an arena, really big field house that they haven't played in a stadium like that size before. And Long Beach might have kind of that feel because it's one huge side of seating that I'm sure you guys have seen. But yeah, Coach Norman Dale pulls the tape measure out just to kind of ease the guys. How big is, 10 feet, the rim to the ground. Hey, 15 feet, free throw line. Same measurements as our gym. Well, that football field is the same as Care Park or Norwindale. So, and then the song there, again, there's some copyright issues and things. Sometimes I played Metallica before and it was like, oh, you can't play this song. Or so we'll see in the editing here if it ends that way. But it's one of my favorite songs, pump up songs. And yeah, there is a freight train coming. The Rio Hondo cares. And I'll say it again. I've said it before in the playoffs. We back down to nobody. Nobody intimidates us. You guys stay the course. We got your back. Stay focused. You let other teams. I don't know what Vanden's going to do, so I'm not saying they're this, but you let other teams hoot and holler and do their thing. You focus on what you got to do. Play team football and bring this thing home. Bring it home, guys. We're right behind you. I believe in you. I know so many other people do as well. You have inspired all of us as you did last year. and all this year. It's been really special watching you guys. Can't say it enough. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And let's get it done on Saturday, man. It's going to be a blast. Enjoy it. Are we ready? I think we are. The time is now. The place is here, Rio Hondo. When we say those words in the alma mater and we sing them after the games, and maybe if you're a parent or maybe you didn't go to Rio Hondo or maybe you're a family member and you don't know the words and you haven't been to a game before, I guarantee you all the alumni out there, even if it's been 10, 20, 30 years, they can recite the words. I guarantee they come back to you, right? A charge to keep. It's the name of this podcast. It was went without saying that we made that the title. But when the boys sing those words after the game, it's silent and it's a cappella for now until we get, the band going again. But, and the parents always want it, sing it louder. Let us hear you. I love that. Young men to sing a song after a football game when everyone else, does all this hooting and hollering stuff and don't even get me started with all that stuff, but a charge to keep, I have a God to glorify, a never dying soul to save and fit it for the sky. Stands to reason this is a hymn after all that we made into our alma mater, but it's really fitting for the Rio Hondo Prep alma mater. Arm me with jealous care as in thy sight to live, and oh, thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. We all have that strict account. And I think the account from all of us, not just the players on Saturday, but the fans, is how we carry ourselves in this contest, how we represent others, our families, God, the history that is Rio Hondo. I think if we always keep that alma mater on our hearts, the second we arrive at a game, second we take the field, whatever we do as a Rio Hondo fan base, as a Rio Hondo student athletes, I think you can't go wrong. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. And again, we'll see what happens. 48 minutes of football or more. There have been a few overtime games in Rio Hondo championship games history. So we'll see, though. I'm excited. State championship, since the state format started back, 18 years ago. I think Jimmy Clausen and Oaks Christian, they were one of the first teams back when they only chose like three teams, Division I and II. Now they get everybody. And I just remember thinking, man, it would be so awesome if Rio Hondo played in one of these one day. And we've been close a few times when they used to have them all at the Home Depot Center there in Carson. But the time is now and the place is here. So let's make it happen. Let's go get it done. Rio Hondo football, humble in victory and gracious in defeat, because we always have a charge to keep. And one more time, guys, for the 2024 season. Fight, fight, fight.